Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome into the Shelby County High School Football Pregame Show, live on location alongside Andrew Simonson. I am Alec Etheridge, and it's the opening night of high school football season, first Friday night of the season, and we've got a busy slate ahead, plenty of action taking place tonight. So excited for us to get things going, kick off this new season. We got plenty to touch on, but Andrew, the season started last night with Thompson hitting the road to take on Central Phoenix City. A big game down there, a rematch of a semifinal game that was decided by 1 point last year. You were down there. Why don't you give everybody a rundown of that game while people tune in and get going here on the opening night of high school football season?
It was a fun game, especially if you were a neutral or a Thompson Warrior fan. I think the first half was really more geared for the neutrals, as we saw both offenses just absolutely take flight in that game. Thompson ended up scoring 21 points in that half, had a 21-14 lead at the half. A couple of mistakes prevented that from being an even bigger lead on the Warriors side. But ultimately, a solid half of football. Trent Seaborn really finding his marks early on, the running game getting involved as well for a long grinding drive. But it was really the third quarter where everything shifted. Thompson goes out, grinds down the clock for a good 6-minute drive to open things, and then Micah Fleming completely flips everything on its head with an interception. That sets up another long drive for the Warriors. They score once again. They end up outscoring Central 21-0 in the second half. And all in all, what could have ended up being another fourth quarter collapse, as the score was almost identical going into the fourth quarter. Instead, it was a 40-14 Thompson win. So big statement win for the Warriors in the battle of the top two teams in the state. You can only think that sets them up really well going forward.
Yep, we got plenty of action tonight, but Thompson starts the season 1-0, off to a strong start, offensively in particular, with what we saw from that offense, Trent Seaborn and company, and what they were able to do. And then beyond that, the defense really settled in throughout the night as well. But let's dive in tonight. We got plenty of action to talk about. We got some weather around us here in Shelby County. Only one home game, fortunately, with the Oak Mountain Eagles hosting the Pelham Panthers. A huge game taking place right here at Herdmont Stadium, where we have had some lightning in the area. Rain just now starting to fall. So we'll see what happens here in the next few minutes. But a big game here at this one. Andrew out at a big one as well. The Helena Husky, you got Briarwood, I'm sorry. Helena coming up soon against Moody, but Briarwood taking on Moody on the road tonight out there in that one. So that's a big matchup. Just two of many great matchups that we have on the slate tonight. But Andrew, let's start going through things. Let's start with our only 8-man team in action tonight, the Evangel Lightning, and then we'll move forward from there into Class 2A with the Vincent Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, Evangel going on the road to take on the Chattanooga Patriots. It was a really, really good start for Evangel right now. They'll get a good opportunity for a win out of the gate as they face Chattanooga, a team that they had no problems against last year. And ultimately, this is a game where I expect them to be about the same as well. Eli Black and Ben Davis both returning for the Lightning. Great two-way players on both sides. I think this is going to be a really fun Lightning team to watch overall, and I think they're going to be one of the favorites within 8-man as well. Chattanooga already improved on one of its results from last year, already 1-0 on the season, and you always have to worry about these long road trips. But ultimately, I feel like this is a Lightning team that's motivated to have a really strong start after how they started out last year. They want to be the most complete version of themselves from start to finish this year. I think that shows on the field. Evangel wins.
Yeah, big one there for Evangel on the road at Chattanooga. I agree. I think the Lightning are going to be a very good football team this year. I think we see them be as complete as they've been in a long time. We've seen that defense improve over the last couple of years. This year, a lot of returning offensive talent as well. I expect that to be on display. I think we'll see Evangel win a big one there tonight on the road at Chattanooga. But as we go into this Vincent matchup, Andrew, this is going to be one of those few games tonight we talked about earlier this week. Just the excitement that's going to be in this matchup. These two teams very familiar, but we expect it to be a hard-fought battle that goes down to the wire. So when you look at this Vincent Winterboro matchup, the Yellow Jackets hitting the road in this game, what stands out to you? What does Vincent need to do to win what's going to likely be a tightly contested matchup here?
I think they need to win the trenches, and that's going to be really important for them in this game because they will be having Wyatt Carlisle step in as a new lead running back. Jaden Roberts obviously graduated for the Jackets, but if there's been one thing that this Jackets team has been able to do. It's been able to establish continuity over the course of the last few years. You look at guys like Raquelis Robertson in the past as well. This has been a really good lineage of running backs coming through Vincent. I think from what I've heard and what I've seen, Wyatt Carlisle is definitely the next of them. Had a really good year defensively last year, and I think that just only carries over, especially when you're playing behind All-Stater on the offensive line and Austin Osborne, a really solid returning cast as well. And ultimately, the rest of the team just looks like it's going to pick right back up from last year. I think the passing game will be all right. The secondary is arguably the best in Class 2A between Jay Posey and Landon Archer. So I think it's going to be another close and hard-fought game. But Vincent ultimately with that physical advantage, able to kind of outpace Winterboro and get a couple of drives, even though the Bulldogs do have quite a bit of athleticism on their hands.
As you're around this team in the preseason, Andrew, what stood out to you in talking with head coach Lucas Weatherford, his tenure there now, getting close to double digits at Vincent? What's the message? What's the mindset around the program right now, especially going into a game like this where they know it's going to be a hard-fought battle with the amount of returning talent that they do have?
I think this team is motivated to make history. They're frankly sick of always getting bounced out in the second round, and they know what their ceiling is. They've run into some really good teams. That was a Pisgah team last year that only lost to Coosa Christian, who ended up winning everything down in Class 2A, down in the semifinals. And so they know that they can go toe-to-toe with the best. They're just really hungry for an opportunity to prove it. And even though they did lose a couple of All-Staters over the course of the offseason, they're as confident internally as I think I've ever seen them, solely because they know the returning talent that they have is great, and they're so confident in their development nowadays that feels like every single generation we almost talk about as a new golden generation. Remember, we had a few years ago that Vincent team go undefeated in the regular season. We thought that was going to be the best Vincent team for quite a while. All of a sudden, Vincent makes the second round 2 more times just a couple years after that. So this Vincent side, they've now set the standard that second round is now the absolute minimum, which, when you consider where Vincent has been in history, is a remarkable accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to see them kind of try to reset that history every year. I think this is a team that's poised to do that. And I do think you look at how close they've been the last few years to making even deeper runs. I think it's the expectation now to get to the postseason and make a run, whether it is just the second round or whether it's beyond. They at least know they've got that expectation to get there. And once you get there, it's a new season at that point. So we'll see how Vincent handles it. A great test on the road to see what this season could look like going forward. They've got some tough tests coming up this year in region play as well. So we'll see what Vincent's able to do on the road at Winterboro tonight, but a great opportunity there for the Yellow Jackets. The same thing for the Shelby County Wildcats as they hit the road to take on Marbury tonight. And this is another game just like that could be a tall test and really prepare Shelby County for what's ahead this season. So, Andrew, what's the key, what's the standout that you're looking for here in this matchup between Shelby County and Marbury?
I'm looking at the quarterback battle and, frankly, how much they're going to be reliant on the pass game in a game where they're going to be debuting a couple of new quarterbacks in Lane Foster, who was the backup to last year's 4-year starter Ryan Sipes, or Sutton Reed, who has been a freak athlete on the basketball court and is now starting to find his way onto the football field as well, something that coaches are very glad is certainly happening. But if you look back at it, and even like the recent past, the Shelby County team that loves to run the football, luckily for them, they had just the guy to break out for them towards the end of the season last year in Tyson Duncan, who really got those hard-fought yards on the ground. I got to see that firsthand as the season kind of went on. And I'm really confident that this Wildcats team is going to be able to be just fine because of that ground game. Now, how much they're going to rely on that is going to be an open question, because we have seen them in the past go almost exclusively on the ground. I don't think they have the depth in the running back room for that quite yet. So I think we're going to see a little bit more run-pass balance. But they'll definitely lean on the run game pretty heavily to compensate for a developing pass game. But if this passing game is anywhere near what it's been the last few seasons, I think this Wildcats team is going to be just fine, and we'll only have upward momentum to build from there.
Well, it's funny because I was talking with some coaches here before this Oak Mountain Pelham game, and we talked about how 90% of the county this year, it's going to be how that run game performs alongside the offensive line, that kind of being the missing link for a lot of teams, or the most unknown for a lot of teams this year. It's the opposite for the Shelby County Wildcats. It's how is that passing game going to come along this year with some new talent there on that offensive side. The run game, though, we've seen it be stable over the last several years. It's kind of what they're known for, and then they've started to mix in the pass more and more the last few years. And I expect that that's going to be a key for them this year, is to continue to work on incorporating that passing game a little bit more. But Shelby County, the opposite problem. I think we're going to see some successful running, try to set the tone in the trenches there early in the season. And this is the kind of game where you want to be able to do that in what's going to be a physical battle with Marbury. So it should be a fun season opener for the Shelby County Wildcats tonight. Like Vincent, with what we just talked about, the last couple of years, it's been setting new standards, reaching new milestones. Shelby County's got that opportunity ahead again this year, and got a great chance as they start with Marbury tonight to kickstart that momentum here in the 2026 season. Well, that takes us to the Montevallo Bulldogs, who, guess what, are also on the road tonight. They travel to take on Tarrant, and this is a game that we expect Montevallo should have some early season success in. Before we talk about this game, though, very excited to announce and pleased to have Montevallo Main Street back on board as a sponsor of the Shelby County Pregame Show again this year. Tons of great events coming up this fall that you want to be geared up for. And, you know, football season, it's all about community, and there's no better way to experience that spirit than with a visit to Montevallo. Take a stroll through their historic downtown Main Street district, shop local, grab a bite to eat, and discover the unique businesses and events that make Montevallo special. Whether you're coming across Shelby County or just down the road, there's always something worth discovering in historic downtown Montevallo. Montevallo Main Street invites you to come visit, shop local, and support their community. And go ahead and mark the calendar right now, folks. 3 of the most fun events that you get in Shelby County each and every year. Tinglewood Festival coming up in just a few weeks, September 12th at Orr Park. Montevallo Art Walk, October 24th, and the Dia de los Muertos Montevallo Festival there on November 1st. So a great way to spend your fall down there in Montevallo. Andrew, we talked about it just a minute ago, mentioned it. Montevallo, a favorite going into this game. We've seen the struggles of the Bulldogs last year. This was a game, though, that they had success in. Expect that to be the case again tonight.
Yeah, this is a series that Montevallo has won each of the last 4 meetings dating back to 2022, and now they'll go on the road up to North Birmingham to face Tarrant, and a team that, like Montevallo, has been heavily struggling. I think they've got the right guys in motion to try to get the most out of this team. You got a former Helena assistant in Greg Appling. This will be a battle of the former Helena assistants, actually. So both these coaches share a lot of pedigree in that regard. Under Richie Busby. But for Montevallo, they're just looking to take the next step right now. You talk to this coaching staff, and they really do feel like the pieces are in place. And you look at this team overall. From when I watched the games last year, there are certainly flashes of talent. It's just they frankly just need to progress the chains and really get a few stops, and ultimately get that opportunity to find success on the field. It almost sounds basic, but sometimes that really is what it all comes down to. So I think that Montevallo, as long as it ends up finishing plays and continuing drives and starts to see that momentum stack up a little bit, I think you start to see that confidence grow within this team. And then that experience from them taking their lumps last year starts to come into play, and you'll see a lot more mature of a bunch this year. Whether it will lead to more wins is yet to be determined, but I do believe that Montevallo will have enough to outmatch Tarrant, who will be coming in at a classification disadvantage, in addition to all the other disadvantages that I've seen on this team so far.
Well, I'm getting attacked by the gnats out here. A typical first night of the season, storms, gnats, mosquitoes, everything attacking at this point. But Montevallo, great opportunity to kick the season off with a win in this one. We'll see if they can build some momentum from that. They've got a lot of athletes that can make some special moves this year and create a name for themselves. But this is a team opportunity for the Bulldogs this season. We'll see what Montevallo is able to do as they try to build the culture there. Great opportunity to start with a win tonight at Tarrant. That takes us to the game that you're at tonight, Andrew. Briarwood at Moody. A huge opportunity for the Briarwood Lions to kick off the season with a huge win. This would be a big one. The defending state champions and the Moody Blue Devils. We all know the drama that I'll let you fill people in on here in just a few minutes and what could come from that tonight as you look at some key names for the Blue Devils. But we got to tell you about another proud sponsor of the show, sponsoring the Briarwood Lions this year. That's the Cahaba Heights Merchants Association. They're proud supporters of the Lions. Cahaba Heights Merchant Association brings local businesses together to strengthen their community, support their merchants, and promote Cahaba Heights as a great place to live, work, shop, and visit. Through collaboration, events, and community involvement, they help make Cahaba Heights a thriving local business community. You know it well, tucked right there into the Highway 280, I-459 area. It's a thriving area full of great food and shopping, and that's all thanks to the Cahaba Heights Merchants Association. Learn more about their support for community at Cahaba Heights Local on Facebook. Next time you're up there at the summit, around that area, go through the Cahaba Heights area, get some food, shop local there in Cahaba Heights. But Andrew, this one a big one. The Briarwood Lions on the road at Moody. It's been a lot of off-season drama surrounding the Blue Devils. People leaving, people coming back. The defending state champions. Briarwood, meanwhile, a team that's a year wiser, a year more experienced. They've got some key faces back. They're a physical bunch always. They got a veteran coaching staff. This should be a lot of fun tonight between these two teams. Another rematch of a playoff battle last year that was handily controlled by the eventual state champions in Moody. But tonight could be a different story.
I'm very confident that it's going to be a different story. You just look at all the turmoil, like you mentioned, with Moody. They have a new coach and former Briarwood strength coach Kyle Tatum, also coming over from UAB's defensive line as well under Trent Dilfer. And he's definitely looking to get this team in the right spot. He's had a heck of a task ahead of him. Had players coming back after being ruled ineligible at Pell City. Former coach Jake Gaines has been suspended for the season up at Pell City for his allegations of illegally recruiting those players from Moody up into Pell City. Briarwood, on the other hand, remains almost completely intact. Obviously, they lose a little bit of defensive line help. Garrett Witherington, who missed the back half of last season as well with a torn ACL. But they will have a quarterback battle on their hands as well. They're looking at Jamison Barnes, who played a little bit of Wildcat last year, did well in the short yardage runs for Briarwood, and then Max Beaumont, who's a bit more of an arm on him as well. We'll see how the development between those two comes together because I think the difference maker for Briarwood is going to be in the pass game. If they can get the ball to this talented group of receivers, guys like Sam Canale, who broke out for an all-county year last year, guys like John Henry Campbell, all these guys, they really have some speed and they have some size on the edges. And I think that's going to help them win a lot of matchups, even against guys like Kylan Baker and his really talented Moody secondary. I think it's still going to be business as usual for the Lions in the trenches. They're going to want to win the battle at the line of scrimmage, but I think that only sets them up for solid plays that could maybe shock a few people and maybe help them go toe-to-toe with what's going to be a very dynamic connection between Jake Lowry and Elijah Rutledge over on the Moody side.
Yeah, Moody's big question mark. We talked about it a few minutes ago for a lot of our local teams, but Moody's big question mark going to be right there at the running back position. Offensive line a little bit as well. That run game was so potent for them a year ago. We'll see if they're able to create that balance early in the season. State championship game last year, it was run. They pounded it that entire game, and it made a difference, especially on a wet, cold night.
Yeah, I'll pick it up from Alec. He was just talking about LaCameron Meadows and his massive impact on this Moody team. Alec, go ahead and continue your point on LaCameron Meadows.
Yeah, sorry, had some phone calls coming through that kicked off my stream, but that was just what they did so successfully last year. They pounded the football, and especially in that state championship game on that cold, rainy night. This year, I think they're going to be a little bit different. I think that's going to be an ultimate goal of theirs down the road. But early in the season, I think you're going to come out and see them spread the ball around a little bit more to get it in the athlete's hands. They've got some experience at quarterback, at wide receiver, and I think that's going to be the key that Briarwood needs to look into when they look at success. So we'll see we'll see what happens in this matchup. Briarwood's going to come into this game looking to be physical in the front seven, and I think they can have some success there, keep this game a little bit closer going into the second half. in this one. So we'll see how it unfolds at the end of the night. But sure to be an exciting battle there between Briarwood and Moody. I think a lot closer than the one we saw in the playoffs, a season ago. All right, Andrew, that takes us to Calera hitting the road and taking on Winona tonight. Not too far of a road trip, but a road trip nonetheless. This is going to be an important early season battle, I think, for both of these teams to build some momentum. You and I high on the possibilities of Calera going into this year. Young, as usual. It seems like every year this is a young football team, but they've got some athletes at some key positions this year that could make a difference, and that needs to start tonight for them to build some confidence and momentum.
Speed kills in the modern game, and that is exactly what Calera has, especially on the edges. You look at guys like Jalen Moore, guys with a little bit of size and speed, and Ian Williamson, and you just round out a whole lot of great receivers for that Calera team. And like Alex said, there's a lot of youth, especially at quarterback with KJ Watley coming into his sophomore year. They have a trio of sophomores at running back as well, looking to carry a large load there. And then some guys who are a little bit older looking to step up into that defensive role, which I think is the biggest key for this Calera team. The defense has been Calera's biggest struggle over the last few years. But mostly their biggest weakness has been getting into shootouts and being on the opposite end of them. And ultimately, a more experienced defense and a more talented defense will help out with that. And it looks like that's exactly what the Eagles have as well. They have a second-year defensive coordinator. They have multiple guys coming back on the defensive side. They have a guy in Cameron Smith who missed the entire year last year after tearing his ACL in the season opener. And now he's back. Now he's back at full strength and a massive leader to boot for that secondary. So I expect a lot of progress on the back end for the Eagles as well. I think the biggest test here is that Winona had a really physical defense last year. They only went 5-5 in Class 5A, but they allowed 16.4 points per game on the defensive side last year. They returned an all-stater at defensive back in Zay Taylor. I think it is a really solid Winona team that's going to give a lot of teams some trouble if they're not careful. So it's how that offense responds to that first test for the Eagles, and then ultimately what those defensive gains show for Calera as well. I do like Calera in this matchup, but I think it's going to be close, rough and tumble, and about as physical a matchup as you can get.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a close game. I think that's you nailed it. I think it's going to be Winona's defense versus Calera's offense in this matchup. Which one has the edge? Whoever performs better on that side of the ball for those two teams, I think walks away the winner tonight. What we're looking for from Calera this year as a whole, though, going to be on that defensive side. If they're going to be successful, and this is going to be the year where they turn the corner, I think it comes on the defensive side. And so that's what we'll be looking for in this game. How do they perform defensively when it comes to their long-term goals this year? I think they've got a strong chance to keep this a fun, tight game that's going to come down to that second half where Calera's defense may have to make a big play to win it, or it goes back to what we just talked about, which is the offense can make that last play if they have the ball last to walk away with a win. So it should be an exciting one. Andrew goes with Calera. I'm torn. I think it could go either way, but we'll go with the home team here in Shelby County for the first game of the season. We'll see if Calera can walk away with a win there at Winona. That takes us to the Chelsea Hornets, a new regime there as well. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how this one unfolds. Andrew, I'm interested to hear from you. This off-season for Chelsea, a new coach stepping in, a winning mentality. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on the Chelsea Hornets going into this matchup as they hit the road to take on Southside Gadsden. A lot of question marks around this Chelsea team going into the season, but also a lot of opportunity to set a new winning culture there right now for the Hornets.
I think you hit the nail on the head with your last point. It's not to say that Todd Cassidy was a bad coach, not by any means. I thought he got a lot out of this Chelsea Hornets team. But you bring in a guy like Tad Niblett, who has experience as as an offensive coordinator, at teams like Gainesville in Georgia, and then Hoover right here in Alabama, and he's only generated some of the best units that the state has seen in the last decade. So it's going to be really fun to see how he works with largely a blank slate for this team. They have a returning quarterback in Logan Strunk, kind of had to work out some kinks last year in his first year as a starter. An extremely young receiving core. Most of the guys there are juniors and sophomores. And then also working in new running backs as well after losing both Chase Malone and Morgan Barnes. A little bit of attrition on the defensive side as well, particularly at the linebacker position. Both their top two tacklers from this team are gone. So the defensive side a little bit more of a question mark, in my opinion. They do like their guys that they have. From what I've talked to the coaching staff, they've got some really hungry guys on that side who could kind of equalize for not having as much experience. But I think the offense needs to come out and set a tone here. It is a Southside team that struggled mightily last year. They went 3-7. They've got that pedigree of winning a region title in 2023, but ultimately just haven't been there the last couple of seasons. It's a really good test this and then Gardendale next week to kind of gain some momentum, figure out a little bit more about their identity, and then ultimately take that into a region opener against Calera that I think is going to be very crucial to determining the trajectory of their season. I like Chelsea here and enough to find a way in a battle of two teams looking for some momentum. But I could really see this one going either way.
I know it's the same as the last one. You just don't know. It's something where you got to see Chelsea kind of prove it early in the season. But theoretically, I look at a matchup like this, Chelsea Southside Gadsden. I feel like Chelsea should be the team that goes in and sets the tone in this matchup. So just a lot of unknown right now. A new coach, changing the mentality, a lot of new faces. You really just have no clue what you're going to get out of this Chelsea team tonight. So this is where we learn a little bit about them. How are they going to respond to some adversity? How are they going to come out of the locker room in the second half versus the first half? What is that going to look like? It's all yet to be determined for the Chelsea Hornets, but this is a great stepping stone for them here as they open up with Southside Gadsden. Like you said, these first two games, a great opportunity because that game against Calera to open up region play is going to be a manageable game, and that's one that you want to win early in the season for both of those teams to build a little bit of momentum. So we'll see how the Chelsea Hornets fare. I also like them in that matchup, but just like Calera, a lot of unknown there. That game could go either way at the end of the night. That takes us to the Spain Park Jaguars. Quick update here from Herdmont. We did get an update a few minutes ago. Once they get the all clear, it's going to be 35 to 40 minutes before kickoff. We've got the 40-minute clock up on the scoreboard, but it has not started counting down yet. So as we hit 6:50 now, it's looking like this game not going to get underway until close to at least 7:30 out here at Herdmont Stadium. So if you're stuck in traffic on 280, 119, or I-65, plenty of time to get here, as I'm sure plenty of people are in that traffic right now. But Andrew, we go to Spain Park, taking on Sparkman tonight on the road. We got one more Cahaba Heights Merchants Association read for you. They're proud supporters of the Spain Park Jaguars this year as well. Right down the road there from Spain Park High School, all the Jags fans right there in that area to get to the Cahaba Heights area, right there behind the summit, and do some local shopping right there between the I-280 or I-459 Highway 280 interchange there. Plenty of great shopping, great food. Some of the best places in Birmingham right there situated in that valley there in Cahaba Heights. And a lot of that is thanks to the Cahaba Heights Merchants Association. Learn more about their support for that community at Cahaba Heights Local on Facebook. That's Cahaba Heights Local on Facebook. Andrew, Spain Park at Sparkman. What's the rundown of this one? I think Spain Park's going to be a talented football team this year. This should be a great opportunity for them to start with a bang here against Sparkman.
Well, the funny thing is there's a potential playoff preview because Regions 3 and Regions 4 are matched up in Class 6A this year, and with the expanded postseason going to 6 teams per region, that could look to be a case where a team like Sparkman, which kind of finishes perennially about that 500 spot, is able to get a leap into the postseason. But this is just going to be where Spain Park outclasses everybody. I think it's going to be a showcase for new quarterback Nash Davis. A lot of really good pieces around him, including an SEC wide receiver and Barrett Price. Transfers all around, which have helped bolster this team up in the most key positions. And it's a culture that is really motivated to go out there and make the most of their situation. So look for this team to not shy away from a challenge and get in a really good spot tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think Spain Park, a team right now that key pieces for them, offensive line, running back, and second half defense. That's going to tell the story of success this year for the Spain Park Jaguars. I think offensively, throwing the football, receiver, this is a team that's going to be able to score with the best of them this year. And if that defense steps up in the second half of games and if they're able to establish a running game, this is a team that's going to be dangerous this year and could make a little run into the playoffs and make a little bit of noise when it comes to a possible state championship run. So a lot of talent there at Spain Park. I expect they go on the road and win tonight against Sparkman as well. Quick update, we got Helena on a bye. We didn't mention that. Obviously, they've got the season kicking off next week. Cornerstone Their game canceled tonight, so they're not playing this week. Same for Coosa Valley. That takes us to the big one right here at Herdmont Stadium. Delayed right now by about 40 minutes. So we'll see when this game gets going. Follow along on X with me for some updates there. As soon as we get off the show, I'll be keeping everybody updated as we get closer to kickoff. But it's the Oak Mountain Eagles, the only home team this week when it comes to Shelby County, and they welcome a county opponent here in the Pelham Panthers. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these two teams. I think two evenly matched teams going into the season with returning quarterbacks that are talented. Andrew, this should be a lot of fun. What's the expectation from your vantage point?
I think whichever defense steps up and shows up is going to end up winning this game because you have a lot of attrition on both sides of the ball. Oak Mountain lost a couple of its best pieces in secondary to transfer or graduation. Pelham, massive graduations on their end. They'll have a new defensive coordinator coming in Tony Hatmaker, who's going to kind of try to set the tone there as well. And for Oak Mountain, you have a completely new landscape with Jason Curvin coming over from Pelham in order to lead the Eagles. This will be his first game facing his former team to start out his head coaching career. So I do believe, with that said, I think Oak Mountain has the better pieces on defense right now. I'm still looking for that depth to be developed. But when you have guys like Peyton Gamble up front, William Yoder in the linebacker position, and then Clay Mills holding down the back end, it feels like they have enough to be able to get past some of these teams. I look for Mills in particular and how his matchup fares with Marcus Arnold to kind of determine how this one goes. Especially with a little bit of attrition in Pelham's wide receiver room as well. Ultimately, I think at the end of the day, Oak Mountain's improvements showcase themselves, and they're able to pip this one over Pelham. But this is a Pelham team that's extremely dangerous, especially through the air. I would not be surprised if it goes the other way.
Well, real quick, Andrew, I know you're running up against it, but your breakdown of both of these quarterbacks and the experience they have, does one have an edge over the other? What's your expectation from the two quarterbacks tonight?
I think Dylan Smith comes into this one as the better quarterback. We've seen him establish a really good football IQ. I think his arm talent is phenomenal. And I think he has a really good command of this offense now going into year two under Austin Gray, which is all really, really crucial for him going forward. It's his third season with at least some starting experience. I expect that to pay some dividends. That's not to diss Charlie Vaccarelli. He's a phenomenal arm talent in his own regard, held his own against Class 7A opposition. Last season, I just think that little bit of extra experience from Dylan Smith and his comfort level within that, I think that really helps as well. And he's got a receiver in Marcus Arnold, who I doubt you're going to find a better number one option in the entire state. Even though Oak Mountain has a lot of really talented options, including one of Smith's former options, and Jacob Gibbs on his side, I think that's going to be tipping over to Smith's fashion.
Yeah, and covering Dylan for as long as we have, I mean, it feels like we've been covering him. I joked earlier in the week, as long as Trent Seaborn out at Thompson. Just so much experience. He knows what he's looking for on the field. I think that gives Pelham a little bit of an edge. But who wins this game boils down to what we've said the entire show. Who's going to have the better offensive line and running game in week one of the season? Right now, I have a sneaky suspicion that it's going to be Pelham in this one. So you've got the Eagles. I've got the Pelham Panthers. I think it's going to be as fun as it was last year that ended on a Hail Mary basically at the end of the game. I think it goes down to the wire. Whoever makes that big offensive play in the fourth quarter or that big defensive stand in the fourth quarter, I think walks away as the winner in this matchup. So it should be a lot of fun to watch this one. We get the text from Tyler Rayleigh, our old friend down on the plains, gives us a goom going into this one as the Oak Mountain graduate. So we'll see. He's siding with Andrew. I'm on an island by myself right now. Love both of these teams. Excited to see what they can do tonight. Also excited to see what the rest of our teams can do as we kick off the 2026 high school football season. That's going to do it for this week's Shelby County Pregame Show. We appreciate all of you for tuning in. We'll see you all again next week. Another big week ahead in week two as we prepare for region play in the coming weeks as well. Thanks again to Montebello Main Street, Cahaba Heights Merchants Association for sponsoring the pregame show. That's going to do it for tonight. Alongside Andrew Simonson, I'm Alec Etheridge. Enjoy your Football Friday night.